closer to the screen. Thank you. Welcome everybody to the New Jersey Environmental Fundraisers Gathering. Today we have Susan Summers coming and chatting with us. And would you like to take it away, Susan?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Lauren. It's so nice to meet everyone. Have loved getting to know Lauren over the years through many different fundraising challenges and exciting things. My name is Susan Summers. I work for Lone Star College Foundation, which serves the greater Houston area in Texas. I've been here for 11 years. I've been in fundraising for 25 years. Before Lone Star, I had a mix of experiences with some social services, with disease-related nonprofits, K through 12, and now I've been in the higher ed field since 2015, which is probably where I will be staying until I can retire and babysit my grandchildren full time. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and get started on the presentation. One of the, Lauren mentioned to me, I'm sorry, I was just talking to my coworker, Laura, before I talked to you. Lauren mentioned it would be interesting to hear about events because we all sort of have probably a love-hate relationship with them. We do quite a few events. They're all pretty big. Just a little bit about Lone Star College. We're a community college. We serve an area that is 2,700 square miles, and we have about 97,000 students across 8 campuses. So we offer workforce certificates, associate's degrees of all types. We also offer 4, soon to be 5 bachelor's degrees. We are not trying to be a 4-year. This has been based on industry demand and the demand of our corporate partners needing to train more, have more trained students in their areas. So we offer bachelor's degrees in cybersecurity, process technology, nursing, soon to be teaching, emergency management. So just things that have been really in high demand in the greater Houston area. So we have a small fundraising team compared to the size of the school that we serve. We have, like I said, we have 8 campuses. We have 9 people on our staff. Only 2 of us are full-time frontline fundraisers. One of those happens to be our executive director, so she obviously runs the whole place, so she doesn't get to fundraise as much as she'd like to. We do have a few more joining that we are trying to bring into the realm of being frontline. They're not quite there. They're just sort of getting into it right now. So, hopefully we'll be able, the goal is to have people at each campus, or at least have geographical representation, our East campuses, our West campuses, and so on and so forth. So that just gives you an idea of where I'm coming from when I share this presentation with you. We've done events for a long time. When I first got to Lone Star, it was completely event centric. And so we've done some things over the years to make those events less transactional, more intentional, and more successful at moving donors down a pipeline that retains their giving, sustains it, and just brings it to a higher perpetual level. That is really the goal. And events too, you should know, are just, they're a portion of our fundraising program. I mean, obviously there's a lot of relationship building, and there's portfolio management, and there's partnerships, and in medical and oil and gas, and in IT and every kind of industry, because we are serving a huge city in the United States. So events are very important, but they are a portion. Definitely not even 50% of our fundraising, maybe not even 30%, but very, very important nonetheless. So with that, I would like to pull up my presentation and just share with you how we have worked to make events more intentional. Okay, hold on a second. Here we go. Gosh, I feel like I haven't been on Zoom in a while. Okay, can you guys see that okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so I actually presented this with my boss, Nicole Robinson Gauthier, at a conference that we had. We belong to an organization called Texas Association of Community College Foundations, and there are about 50 community colleges throughout the state of Texas. And we have this organization where we do professional development, networking, conferences. We have a listserv, formal information sharing, informal information sharing. And so we did this at the conference recently. And actually, we've each done it a few times separately. It seems to be a really hot topic. People hear about it and they want to see what someone else is doing. So with that, I will start with this. Just sort of wanted to ask everyone, what is your event barometer? Whoops. What is your event barometer? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you, do you do them already? I'm going to ask, and you guys don't have to answer this right now. I can't really see anyone. But can you all just speak up if you have a regular fundraising event throughout the year? Who here has that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you do galas? Do you do golf tournaments? Do you do dinners? Sporting clay shoots? Like, what kinds of things are y'all doing?
This is Denise with the County Park System.
Yes.
Our nonprofit that I run does a 5-10K in the spring and a golf outing in the fall.
Okay. Okay, great. I'm trying to adjust so we do have another golf. I'm trying to adjust this here so I can, I'm telling you, Zoom has changed since I have been on here because I want to be able to see you guys. All right, that's not going to work. Okay, so if you want to speak up, just interrupt me, okay, because I can't see you all. um, okay, so a little bit about what we do. Well, first I'm going to start with why we love events. We do see them definitely as more than a fundraiser. And our main goals with each event, in addition to raising funds, is definitely engagement and interaction, providing opportunities for our donors, for our leadership, for our employees. We do raise a lot of money internally as well, so they all get treated like donors as well. We have about 8,000 employees. But to provide these opportunities for us to all interact and engage with each other. That top left photo is one of our golf teams, and in the very middle is the chancellor of our entire system. So we get him out to everything. You'll see his picture a lot. He didn't used to be nearly as social, but he's gotten very social in this position because he has to be. And we love him. Another big goal with our events is influence and education. That second picture on the top is at our golf tournament reception that we have at the end of the day, where we have where we give out all of the awards and have some heavy appetizers and just networking and fellowship. And that is our student speaker for the event. He was one of our major donors was there, Johnson Controls, and he was one of the scholarship recipients of a Johnson Controls scholarship. And so that was really cool. They got to meet and take some pictures, but he stood up and gave his speech on what his scholarship meant to him and what he was up to in life. And he was very impressive, very well spoken. He was doing some amazing things. Another reason is we put here giant photo opportunities. All of the communities that we serve are very, very busy, very networky, very active, tons of online publications, even some printed publications. Everybody likes to see themselves all over these event pages. And so that photo down there is our chancellor. This was our gala from 2025. A scholarship recipient, one of our 4-year university partners, and our chancellor and the chair. Another reason is marketing. That little box you can see down on the bottom, sort of in the middle, that's just a screenshot from when the foundation tagged one of our supporters, First Community Credit Union and CARES Foundation, in one of the photos. And then they came back and said, we're proud to be a sponsor and we love to support events and make a positive impact. That's marketing. Obviously, you could call it earned media, whatever you want to call it. All the people that they touch in their social media, they saw it. Um, we tag, we comment, we engage a lot, and we get a lot of great marketing out of it, out of having these events online, featuring them online before and after the fact. And then another big goal of these events, I mentioned before, is moving donors down the pipeline. So when our donors support our events, the proceeds from their sponsorships are able to be allocated per their choice. So you can see that box up there. There are these check boxes for area of greatest need. They can start a new endowment. They can add to their existing endowment. They can give to the student emergency fund or meal plan vouchers. And we find that when donors get to be part of an event and get all of the recognition, interaction, and everything that goes along with the event sponsor benefits, when they also get to allocate where their sponsor proceeds go, that makes them even more excited. So we have a lot of donors who they'll start an endowment and they'll become part of our events, and then they'll build on their endowment through participation in the events. So it really turns event participation from a transactional gift to something that leads to longer term giving through setting up endowments and scholarships that they get to name. They get to meet the students, they get to be engaged on the campuses where the students attend. It really just kind of elevates that whole connection. And also, if they don't have an endowment or scholarship in their name, they can give to something that really matters to them, such as the emergency fund. Our foundation gets just hundreds and hundreds of requests every year for students who are in an emergency that might be considered more minor, such as maybe they have a flat tire and they can't get to school, or maybe their mom watches their children while they go to school and mom is sick and they need to pay for some childcare. Things that come up that in the big picture might be $100 to $500 in their world, that is the thing that might prevent them, that might make them have to drop out. We also provide emergency funding in terms of the catastrophic things that happen, like the hurricanes that we get on a regular basis, and the fact that we flood with 4 inches of rain because we're so flat, and that sort of thing. So we do have a lot of opportunities to help students in emergencies so that they don't have to drop out of school. And a couple years ago, we started a meal plan voucher program. Our chancellor that was really his baby. He really wanted to start that. He himself was a student. He literally grew up in a mud hut and in Mexico, and um, went went to Austin to University of Texas, I think, with like $100 in his pocket. So he has he's he had scholarships. He had all kinds of help from different people along the way, and he was hungry at times. And so that is very near and dear to him, that students not be hungry when they have to go to school. So we started the meal plan voucher program. So um, that's something really cool. He's very open about. He speaks to all the time. But the main point here is that the donors get to decide where they want to give, and that helps them want to give. They get to build something sustainable, such as an endowment that will award scholarships in their name forever and ever, long after we're all gone. These are things that make this event participation more than just a transactional gift. This is an overview of the events that we have. Um, of course, our fiscal year is an academic year. We start September 1 and go through August 31st. Our first big event is our golf tournament, which is in November. And then in the spring, in April or May, we have our annual gala. In between that, we have the Chancellor's Donor Appreciation Lunch, which highlights the winners of the Chancellor's Essay Contest. We have students who've won from each campus who will get up and read their essays. And the Donor Appreciation Lunch is only for endowment donors or those considering an endowment. And if they actually have completed or minimally funded their endowment, they will be up on the donor wall, which is at the same location, so they get to see their name on the donor wall. That's usually in late January, early February. Also, at each campus, we have, at 7 of our 8 campuses, we have a campus scholarship reception where we bring together donors and students. They get to meet. We have donors who speak. We have students who speak. It's 7 of our 8 campuses because our 8 campuses online, and they have not, they don't really do the in-person events for obvious reasons. And then we have it's essentially a giving society called Celebration Circle that is year round that I'll talk a little bit more about later. And what that is when donors contribute to, when they make an annual commitment to both events, they get extended recognition throughout the year. And that's just our way of working with them on an annual basis and getting them to put us in their budget and sitting down with them and just coming up with a plan for the year. So I'll sit down and present to them, here are the 2 events. If you do these levels of sponsorship, this will be your proceeds. And if you add that to your endowment, you'll be awarding this much in scholarships in the next academic year. It's really just a great way to make this a whole full circle thing of them supporting us year round, making that annual commitment, and then seeing some real impact from that commitment. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. So I mentioned to you, a really big part of events is making them intentional. These photos are great examples of how we try to make events intentional, to provide very strategic engagement and networking amongst our employees, leadership, and supporters. I don't say between any one of those groups for any reason, because getting all of those groups together is really beneficial. Of course, recognizing our sponsors and honoring them, it's a great opportunity to do that. It's a great opportunity for mission moments, where students speak or donors get to meet students and really see their impact firsthand. Of course, these events are fun and they're great memory makers. So our donors, they love coming to these. They not only get to interact with everyone at Lone Star, they get to interact with all of these other companies. There's some good networking and partnerships that they get out of it as well. You can see in the pictures, we have employee volunteers who greet our donors as they come up to the golf tournament check-in area. We have sponsor benefits where, they have teams on the course. On the far right, all the guys in the matching golf shirts. The gentleman on the left, he was a student here 20 years ago, and now he's one of our major donors and an endowment holder. That is a great story. Those are the kinds of stories we want to continue growing and encouraging. So, and then the other one, that Frost Bank, he's one of our board members. They were a refreshment station sponsor. So he got to hang out and give stuff out and talk to everybody that came by. And I'm sure he made a lot of great connections that day. You can see our chancellor on the bottom left. He and his chief of staff ride around in a golf cart all day and greet people. In the middle on the bottom, that's our campus presidents. Each campus has a president, part of cabinet. And we are overseen by a foundation board of directors, which is separate from the college elective board of trustees. But they all got together for a ladies' golf clinic. So they weren't quite comfortable going out and golfing 18 holes, but they had enough under their belt to hold a club and benefit from a lesson. And so they had a golf clinic, and they also had lunch, and it was kind of a whole day for them. And then you'll see on the bottom right, I always greet the donors as they come up, and a bunch of cabinet members, they hang out with me and they greet them and they get to talk to them, and the donors get to talk to them. And so it's just a lot of opportunities for people to connect, to meet people. The golfers love meeting our leadership. And our leadership, they love meeting the people that support the students. So, that picture on the top, the second one over, I put this in there because one of the things about events that we all hate as fundraisers is spending money. Because we don't want to spend the money, we want to give the money to our cause, right? But this is just an example of a cost-efficient decorating. We use these same centerpieces at the golf tournament every year. We literally pack them up in those vases like that. We stick those little flags, the one that says First Community, that costs a total of $100 to make to have 50 of them made. And then we put little note cards on the table where people can give on the spot. And then on one side and on the other side, there's a photo of the student speaker and his biography and history. And so everything down to the setup and the decor, we are making it into a mission moment, a recognition moment, and doing our best along the way to not really just overspend, because that's really easy to do, especially whoever it was earlier that said you have a golf tournament as well. I mean, golf tournaments are pricey. I'd so much rather spend money on a gala any day. Those are, as far as income to expense cost ratio, those are so much more efficient. Um, okay, this is something else we do as part of our intentional event planning, is sharing the impact afterwards. So each member of the team gets a card. This is actually like a bifold card. And so in the top corner, there's the front of it with the student that they saw at the event. And then on the inside, when you open it, we just use double-sided tape to tape their team photo on there. And then on the left side, we use that to provide impact facts. So it's not just how much we raised, it's how much we were able to add to endowments. It's how much we were able to add to our area of greatest need. Um, it's the number of scholarships, just annual one-time scholarships that we were able to fund because of the golf tournament. Um, we also always make a joke about the weather. You'll see the little sunshine icon there because it rained for like 4 years in a row and we finally had a good day. So we were really excited about that. When I go visit donors, which I do a lot of, I go see them in their offices, they have these cards on their desks, on their shelves. And they always show me, oh, look, I have, some of them have every year that they were in the golf tournament, they have that card up there. They love seeing their photos. They love seeing the numbers and the impact that it's made. The other thing I do is most of the time the donors will, they will host people to be on their golf team. It's really like people that they work with. They'll host people. So it may be people that they want to do business with, or it may be some of their vendors that they want to thank. Sometimes it is employees that they want to recognize for a job well done. And so I'll send them the whole package so that then they can reach out to people and say, hey, here's a photo from that great golf tournament I invited you to. And they like that too. And it makes it easier for us not having to get every single address. So
So,
um,
question, when do you provide these cards and what do you call them?
we just call them the thank you cards with the impact facts inside. And we send them out about a week after the tournament is over. So we have them all ready to go to the printer, except for adding in those numbers because we don't have the numbers or the photos yet. And then that week after the tournament, we just scurry to get all the final information together, get the final design ready, and they can print it for us in a couple of days. And then we spend a few days matching them up and stuffing them. And you know, the golf tournament is usually the week before Thanksgiving, so they usually have them then within that first week in December before the holidays.
Thank you.
Sure. And I have hard copies of things I can send anyone if y'all are interested. I have extras. Okay, Star Gala. That's the other major event I mentioned to you. We just had it about a month ago. And so I just updated this today because it had last year's on here. So I just put our most recent one on here. This is another opportunity to make events intentional. We have students who serve as MCs. The chairs that we choose in that top left corner, the two women in the middle are two of the vice president and chief nursing officers of Houston Methodist in Houston. They represented two of the hospitals of this major health system in Houston. And they're great supporters. We have great partnerships. They give us a lot of money to train all kinds of medical personnel, everything from nurses to surgical techs to sonography techs, you name it. And, it's a great partnership. We help them find the right employees. They help our students get through school. We usually work with a partner who is giving to serve as chairs. They get a lot of great recognition. They get a lot of stage time and face time. And it's a great way to just highlight our partnership. The two girls on either end, those were students who served as co-masters of ceremonies for the event. And their drama teacher, he's not in this photo, he also serves alongside them. But they're theater students, they do a great job. And then in the middle, you can see we have a lot of, each campus has a great fine arts department, and um, this particular group of students performed highlights from their spring musical Anything Goes. So that's like the dinner entertainment. So it's like a dinner theater when they sit down, when the program's taking a pause and everybody's eating, the students got up and performed, and it was really cool. Um, Also this year, for the first time, Lone Star College finally started an alumni program. We've had a lot of alumni activities over the years, but this is like a streamlined, dedicated alumni program. And we had the inaugural alumni awards. And so this was the first time those were presented. People were really excited about this. Each alumni had like a little tribute video, and one of their former faculty members or mentors got up and gave a little speech about them. You can see our chancellor was in the photo with him. These alumni were so impressive. I mean, you know, the girl third from the right that looks about 20, right? She's a she's a Navy pilot doing like top secret work that she can't even tell anyone about. I mean, like, they're doing such amazing things. The guy right next to her, he's the one that I told you was in the golf picture, that was a student turned alumni, turned donor and endowment holder. He works for Houston Police Department, and he's getting ready to take the LSAT, and he wants to go into advocacy for victims of domestic violence, because that's the beat he works right now. And he sees where the law just does not serve them well. So the audience heard so many great stories about Lone Star alumni at this event, and it was just really heartwarming. And then on the bottom, um, we have surprise transfer scholarships. So we have a lot of four-year universities that are very close to us, within 1 to 3 hours drive. And we have partnerships with a ton of four-year universities to make the transfer from associate degree to bachelor's degree smooth and cost efficient. These two particular schools, University of Houston downtown and Sam Houston State University, um, we sort of plot behind the scenes with them, where we'll get student speakers who are about to graduate, who receive scholarships. They come there to talk about their scholarship experience and how it impacted their lives, and they express their plans to attend one of these two four-year schools. And then the presidents of the four-year schools get up and say, "Oh, it's so great to meet you. We're so glad you're here. And we're here to let you know that we're going to pay for you to complete your bachelor's degree at University of Houston downtown or Sam Houston State." So there's surprise scholarships. So we had two of those planned. And then on the spot, University of Houston downtown decided to give yet one more, because the girl in the green dress, who was one of the student MCs, had mentioned in her talk that she was also going to UHD. And she was like, "Well, I've got executive powers," because she's a new she's a new president. And she was like, "I'm going to give you a scholarship too." And then in the middle, the girl in the black, she received a surprise transfer scholarship, and mentioned that her husband was a veteran who was interested in cybersecurity. So then our chancellor got up and said, "You know what? We love veterans. We're going to pay for your husband to get a cybersecurity degree, bachelor's degree at Lone Star College." It was like an episode of Oprah. You get a scholarship. You get a scholarship. It was just, they were just coming out the walls, and it was awesome. And it just made people so excited. And we had a really, really good stand up for scholarships, where people just, then we just make an appeal, and people just fill out cards, or they use their phones to give. And we had a really good response from that this year, because people were so excited to see students performing and students speaking as the MCs, and to see our alumni coming back to give back and do so much. So overall, it was a very intentional event. People felt good and they felt connected, and that is really the goal. We also do an impact report after Star Gala. You can see it's very much the same kind of format. We give them the amount raised, how much we were able to raise for endowments, how much we were able to add to scholarships and emergency funding, um, how many guests were there, how many sponsors and underwriters we had. Just kind of put it all into numbers that tell a story. And this doesn't go in anything. We don't do anything printed for this. This goes out in an e-blast following the event. It's a little we've thought about taking the individual photos that donors get at the event, and sending this with that. But that's a little harder because not everybody gets their individual photos. Then it is literally by couple and not by team. And it just gets a little, we don't really have the manpower for that right now. But right now, people do like getting these impact facts. And when we send them out, we always get great response. Um, this is a reflection of our Chancellor's Donor Appreciation Luncheon. As I mentioned, these are all of the student scholarship recipients who won the Chancellor's Essay Contest at each campus. And at some point of the lunch, they got up and read their essay and talked about the impact of their scholarship. These essays are chosen for a reason. They will definitely make you cry or at least get a lump in your throat. And if you don't at least do that, you may not like be fully human because these stories are amazing. And so everybody who has an endowment, everybody who's thinking about an endowment, we have about 300 people come to this lunch. It's getting bigger and bigger. We may have to split it up geographically as the years go by because we don't like to do this at a hotel. We do this at our main system office where we have our big donor wall. Because after the event, everybody goes out and looks at the donor wall and they all get their pictures taken in front of their names and they meet the students. And it's just a really, really cool, heartwarming kind of, mission moment, right? Just bringing you back to why you're here, and why you're supporting Lone Star College. And then I also mentioned the campus scholarship receptions. These are awesome because it's a smaller scale. It's hosted per campus. So the donors get to meet the students on their campuses. That first picture is a former board chair. In the middle, Mr. James Harrison, long-term supporter, former board chair. His company has a few endowments. He and his wife have a personal endowment. And those are the stories when I talk to you like about a pipeline. James Harrison is a great example, and he's vocal about this. And so, I don't mind sharing with you. He started giving because his company, Harrison Kornberg Architects, got some work from Lone Star College during one of our rebuilds or renovations or whatever it was. He got really excited about what was going on, so he kept giving, even when his job here was over. He took on some leadership positions, got so excited about how the students were benefiting that he and his wife, so his company had started their own endowment. So then he and his wife decided to start their own personal endowment because he loved what we were doing. And the next conversation he wants to have with us is about putting Lone Star College in his will. So this to me is like the ultimate pipeline journey, right? We have a donor who starts off because there's a connection, starts off giving, amplifies the giving at his company, amplifies the giving personally, and even wants to have us be part of his end of life plan. That to us is the biggest show of trust and commitment and partnership that we can ever hope to have. And as you all know, those end of life gifts are the things that are transformational. That now his giving for the 20 or so years he's already given, and hopefully we'll have him around a lot longer to keep giving, not just to give, but because we love him and we want him around more. But those stories of just giving for that long, that's a huge impact. And then you have these end of life gifts. That's another huge impact. So just love those stories. These are also great photo ops. And the second photo, I mentioned to you Johnson Controls. The gentleman on the far right of that photo is our representative from Johnson Controls. He's also a board member. Whenever we send him photos like this, they put this all over their social media. We get all kinds of great press for it. And the leaders at his company love to see them with the students that they're helping fund. Because these are students that they need HVAC students. And these are students that, as soon as they graduate with the Johnson Controls grant under their belt, they're going to work for them. So that's another great opportunity. And then, of course, we get great updates. It's an opportunity to provide updates from the college and the foundation at these events. So again, they're a little smaller scale because they're geographically based, which is great. We like the big things where everybody's there, but we like for the donors to be on the campuses too. This is Celebration Circle. So basically what this is, don't start reading every word while I talk. Basically what this is, as I mentioned, the donors can make an annual commitment to both of our events. It does not matter the amount. It has to be a minimum sponsorship level to be in Celebration Circle, but it doesn't. It's not like a giving society where you have to give at least $10,000 or $20,000 or something like that. I purposely started this like this, gosh, 8 or 9 years ago, because I did not want it to be about the amount of giving. I wanted it to be about their commitment and their loyalty and their giving year after year after year and making these annual commitments. Um, we've all read information. We see the studies that say that the mid level giving that goes on for 20 years has a much larger impact than the big, splashy, occasional gifts. Also, the long term loyal donors are the ones that turn into those transformational gifts at the end of their lives. And so, I really wanted to recognize donors of every level. When Celebration Circle is recognized, they're recognized alphabetically, not by amount. And that will always be the case like that. Now, on our donor wall, the size of the font indicates that they're, probably at a higher level. We don't list amounts, but the size of the font can indicate that. There are definitely places that are appropriate um, for recognizing donors. Some donors are giving larger amounts than others. This is not one of them. This is about loyal behavior, staying loyal to Lone Star College Foundation. So the benefits of joining, you can see there, they're on a special website. They're on a special page in the golf program and in the gala program. They're on a special premier signage, or they're on the golf digital scoring device. Um, they get a special social media post. This really doesn't cost us anything to recognize them because these are things that we're doing. We can just elevate it a little bit for them. This year, we're adding a VIP reception as one of their benefits right before the gala, where they can interact with campus leadership and get a jump start on the auction bidding and things like that. So, we're planning that for the 27 gala. But we make it really easy. They can spread their donations out over 2 calendar years, which a lot of times, that could be their fiscal year. Um, they can make the commitment. They can pay it all at once, or they can get invoiced 30 to 45 days before each event. It's really up to them, but it helps them plan and it helps keep us top of mind when they are budgeting. And it gives them that extra recognition and engagement. Um, the other thing that they get is they get a customized report that shows examples of their benefits being fulfilled, and also shows an update on if they have endowments or scholarships, where they are with that, and also gives them a very personalized update on college and the foundation and what's going on in their area. And I give those to them either in person or virtually throughout the summer. I will have at least 30 meetings this summer with donors to review their gratitude reports. They're just PowerPoint presentations. I'll be happy to send you. I made like a dummy sample with no confidential information on it. I'll be happy to share that with you guys. But they love that. They love the personalization of it. I've had so many of them tell me over the years as I've given those reports, I've had them say to me, Susan, we give to 6 or 8 organizations in this community, and you guys are the only ones that do this. You guys are the only ones that come to us, at the end of your cycle to tell us about the impact and to show that you did everything you promised you would do. I have some companies that they have to record this stuff for their leadership to show that these were the benefits and they were fulfilled. So they like that, I take care of that for them instead of them digging around social media or programs or things like that. So that's just another, great benefit. We wish we could do this with every donor we have. Obviously we can't. And so that is that level of reporting is reserved for them and some of our really, really huge partners. That's a smaller handful, but that that's how we like to recognize them in a special way, just through some of those things there. Okay, so just some key takeaways that we wanted you guys to have about this presentation is that, events they're definitely more than a fundraiser. There are important things about events. The invitations are important, the decorations, the menus, the entertainment, the post-event tax load, all of these things are very, very important, definitely. But what's impactful are the things that I've been talking about, providing opportunities for everyone to strategically engage, to have planned interactions. Each of our campus presidents before the gala, they get a cultivation list. And they literally get a list that says, at table 32, there is such and such company. You guys offer, veterinarian tech assistant as a program, and they're interested in supporting that. Please, would um, you know, Dr. Nutt, would you please go and say hello to them? And we want to make sure they meet the president of the campus where they offer that. So we all have our cultivation list, right? Like going into anything, we all kind of know who we want to talk to and make sure we get a chance to say hi to and thank them for being there. But also our leadership, our entire cabinet gets cultivation lists. So we are just trying to make sure that people are talking to the people they should be talking to, and that our donors are feeling very, very special. I literally, someone who's on my cultivation list every year, I went and said hello to him and his team at the gala this year. And he said to me, he said, I so appreciate you coming to our table every year with how busy you guys must be and saying hello. You have no idea how much that means to me. And while I thought it was wonderful that he said that, I also thought it was a little sad. Like, no donor should be impressed by that. They should enjoy it and appreciate it, but they shouldn't be impressed by that. We're not doing our jobs if that is what's impressing them. Um, but anyways, I'll get off that soapbox. But going back to what's impactful, celebrating student success, celebrating our partnerships, and all of these mission moments. And then of course, after the event, coming back and saying, this is the difference that this made. And talking to them a few more times before we ask them for money again, yet again. So that is it for my presentation. So I will stop sharing if I can find this again. Do y'all have any questions?
Susan, I have a
Susan, I have
question.
one.
Oh,
This is Denise, again with the Morris County Park System, but I also serve on a nonprofit board. And
Uh-huh.
one of the things we're looking at is the program of our gala.
Yes.
Are you seeing a change in terms of like people speaking up on the stage versus maybe a video of an impact statement and the entertainment mixed in? We're just kind of reviewing our the program setup and trying to make sure that it's fresh, that it maintains the engagement with the audience. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
I think that's really good to consider that every year. I think you guys are definitely on the right track with that. We do mix videos, student speakers, entertainment. It depends on what's going on. A couple years ago we had a couple of new bachelor's degree programs launching, and so a couple of times we interspersed the speaking with videos about those programs because that was a really big deal then. It really depends on what's going on in the college. This year we always put a hype video on. We have a great marketing department. They do these great videos. We always do a couple of hype videos to get people to their tables, to get them to quiet down because nobody hears, which is great. They're having that much fun, right?
Yeah.
So we definitely do intersperse. But the people who actually speak, it's usually limited to the chairs of the event, chair or chairs of the event, a student speaker, our chancellor, of course. This year, our elected board of trustees chair also wanted to speak, so he kicked it off, very briefly. But we really don't want to have more than 4 or 5 speakers because it gets really long. This year was a little longer than usual because of the inaugural alumni awards, and we are going to make the alumni awards part of it every year. But it's going to be more abbreviated next year. It was definitely longer this year because of that. I think it's really good to mix it up. We try to keep our program no longer than an hour, and they eat dinner during that time because we want them to have time before to browse the auction. And we also have an after party with either a band or entertainment or something, and we want them to be able to enjoy that as well. We have all been to those programs where you sit for 2 hours and hear people talk about how great the next person is, and then they get up and say, oh no, no, but you're greater than me. And and nobody wants to hear that. We want to focus on the students. and we and of course, depending on your leadership, our leader is an impactful speaker. We didn't always have speakers that were that impactful, and so there was a time where we had a leader where we made a video of him every year because he just wasn't the he was an amazing leader, but he just didn't have that quite the stage presence. And so we did like sort of interview videos with him that we mixed in with students speaking. So you need to look at it. I think, if you have sort of a template, like don't treat it like a template because it's not going to work every year. You got to think about what's going on in the world, what's going on at your organization, what kind of who's in leadership, what do they want to speak on? Are they going to be good speakers? I think you're smart to mix it up, and I think you're smart to reconsider it every year. The only thing I say that's pretty hard, in fact, that I would say is I would not have a program be more than an hour.
Mhm.
So it's a long night for people, and you want them to be able to be able, to have some fun as well.
Thank you.
Uh huh.
Who else has a question?
Susan, I had a question for you.
Yes.
I find the way you present sponsorship opportunities for the golf outing very interesting. Just for even just regular donors, we've talked about giving them the options of what they could give to.
Uh
And
huh.
our largest fundraiser is a gala where we have sponsorships that are preset at certain amounts. You get certain benefits. And
Uh
I don't
huh.
think it would have ever occurred to us to give sponsors the option to restrict their giving to one program or another. And I think there's been some hesitation here to give those options as opposed to the where it's needed most and event underwriting. But it seems
Right.
to be successful for you. So would you define success as you have repeat sponsors who love that option so they keep coming back, or they increase when they come back, or they donate in other ways after they sponsor because they had these kind of options that pull at the heartstrings more than you're just an event sponsor? Can you talk about what success has looked like for you for that?
Yes, and honestly, all of the above, of what you
Okay,
just said. And I will tell you, we separate out opportunities for support into sponsorships and underwriting. So the
got it.
underwriters do not get to allocate where their funds go to. That helps support the actual event. So as a foundation, we're the 501c3, or we're the philanthropic arm of the college. We are employed by the college, and they do give us an operating budget, but it's not for events. So our events are run based on, on a net gross basis, right? And so we try to keep it to a certain income to expense ratio. And so we do have underwriting opportunities, and the donors know in advance, if you want to be an underwriter, that covers event expenses. You don't determine where that goes. The sponsorship proceeds, they get to allocate where those go. And the way that we define success is a retention rate. If we can retain all sponsors and underwriters at 70 to 75% or more, then that's awesome. If I have certain goals in portfolio management of elevating certain sponsors and underwriters to the next level. Maybe right now they're just involved in one event. So maybe my goal is to get them involved in two events. Then maybe after that is to get them committed to Celebration Circle. Then maybe after that is to have a conversation about an endowment. So, kind of stair steps up. And so that's another definition of success. And that varies year to year based on what portfolio management goals are. And so, and definitely elevating, we set our fundraising goal depending on what's going on in the world. We set the fundraising goal a certain percentage higher than it was the year before. And so that's a measure too. So everything you said is true. You know, Retention, acquiring new donors. We have certain goals for, acquiring for a certain percentage of that being new dollars. We also have goals with elevating donors to the next level in the pipeline through their participation in the event. And we do have underwriting goals because we want to get as much of that event paid for as
Mhm.
possible. With the gala, if we spend 30, we might spend 30% of our gross on the gala. That's Golf is very different. Anyone who hosts a golf tournament, that gets we thought about canceling our golf tournament because it was just getting so expensive. And as a fundraiser, to have a 50% income to expense ratio is just a little nauseating. But we I called every single golf sponsor that we had had for like the previous 3 years, told them what we were thinking about it. And they were like, no, 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 please don't do that. We'll
Hmm.
pay more in sponsorships. We love this event, you know.
Interesting.
So then we went to the board and said, hey, we know these income to expense ratios. We looked at other courses. None of it was really going to make a big difference. So then we went to the board, and the case for support to them was this isn't just a fundraiser. This is a fundraiser. They like it. They want to come back. They're willing. They practically asked me to raise the sponsorship and underwriting levels so that we could keep having it, which I was happy to do. And so, um, then that's when we really thought even more about intentionality in keeping people excited and connected to us. Also, as I think I mentioned this earlier, our service area is 2,700 square miles. We don't get to see our donors a lot.
Yeah.
It it makes sense. It helps to see them.
Mhm.
I mentioned to you planned interactions, like at our golf tournament. We have this over. We have our golf tournament at two different courses because it's gotten so large of the same country club, and you know, I'm at golfer check-in with 20 volunteers doing the actual check-in, meeting and greeting. My boss is at the other course at check-in. We have our board chair that rides a golf cart around and says hello to everyone. We have volunteers stationed everywhere to greet, to say hello. It's all very, very planned. All of the interaction is planned, and of course, our cabinet members, they have cultivation lists for that event as well. So we know that they're all saying hi to the people they need to say hi to. And so, you know, going back to your original question,
Mhm.
you know, retention, covering costs as much as possible with underwriting, retention, meeting those increased goals, and um, elevating our donors to the next level of giving, which is an individualized plan for each of them. That's how we measure success.
Thank you.
Sure.
For everybody. Susan has mentioned a lot of things. Was there one takeaway for you, one tidbit that she offered that you just loved? You're like, ooh, that sounds interesting. Either put it in the chat, shout it out.
Denise again. I for our golf outing, I'm looking at being a little bit more intentional. I mean, I'm 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 a one person office, so check in that morning is me and one of my board members, or maybe two of my board members. But
Oh,
I think I want to be sure that my president or well, my previous president, he was a golfer. So it's kind of hard to keep him there. But I think this year our president is not a golfer, and
right.
I want to make sure she's there and she's talking to everybody. And even ours is a breakfast to lunch kind of thing. So at
Huh.
breakfast, when everybody's there, kind of making sure that she's stopping at the tables, and maybe some other
Right.
board members could also stop at the tables because I'm at the registration desk, so I can't do that. But
Right.
um,
Yeah,
yeah,
of
making sure we're a little bit more intentional about thanking everybody for coming.
definitely engage your board. Even if board members are golfing, there's check-in time, there's
Mm,
networking in the morning during breakfast, there's networking at lunch. Our board members have assignments. Our board members are donors, so they're some of our largest donors, but they have assignments and they know that they are going to work a little bit, and they're happy to do it. Because honestly, what's the reason we lose volunteers? Because they don't feel like they're being useful.
right.
The majority of volunteers want something to do, and so definitely put them to work. Give them some give them some people to talk to, because you know they can speak to it like nobody else can. They're not
Right.
being paid like we are.
True.
So
Well, thank you everybody for joining. If there's any additional questions, Susan, are you open to sharing the presentation?
absolutely, yes. And I see some things in the chat. Have you checked it out?
There were several folks who mentioned they had a gala and also really enjoyed the impact thank you cards.
Yes, yes. Okay, great. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm happy to send the presentation. I can send but really anything, anything that you guys want to see, I'm happy to share. We like to just share it, karma's good when we share stuff. Good stuff always comes back. So we had a college right down the street from us that we referred a 7-figure donor to a few years ago because they had an education program and we did not yet. But they were so impressed that we referred them down the street that now that we're having one, they're coming back with a similar gift. So it always pays to refer the donor to where they're trying to make the difference. Good lesson. Thank you for having me. I hope it was helpful, and I'm always happy to answer questions.
This has been amazing. It's great to see you.
It's
Also,
good to see you too.
Susan, are you open to talking about the CFRE with folks?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Another thing, Susan can chat about that as well. So if you want to connect with her about that, feel free. And again,
Absolutely.
she's in another time zone. Are you in another time zone? Right, Texas? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I'm central.
Yeah, she's in another time zone completely. You got to see somebody from Texas today.
It's like 90 degrees. I don't even know how hot it is. I've been in AC all day and I tend to stay there. Thank you, everyone.
We'll see you around. Thank you.
Bye.